Hi, my name is Megan, and this is a Naughty Mess Knitting Podcast. Hi everybody, welcome to episode 21. We are right at the end of the year here. It is Friday, December 29th. I am filming kind of midday because I'm not really working, but I am also working a lot of this week. But I decided to just get this episode filmed. I have some fun things to talk about. We'll have an abbreviated whips section, and I got some acquisitions. We knew Zeezee Textiles was coming, and there was something else fun that arrived and I totally forgot was coming. Yeah, and then I want to talk about like a little bit of a high level review, some fun questions to answer for 2023, and then 2024 goals. I was going to do some stash like data, which I do want to do with you guys, but I did not open this new acquisition and I want to show you that. That'll have to go into the stash. So really numbers are not going to be accurate until the 31st. And when I do all of my Yarny moves for the flat lay, I want to make sure everything actually is in stash when I do that. Or right before, because that would be really painful for everybody to sit through. But so I don't know. So we're doing this Yarny, our Yarny day of flat lays will be on December 6th. January 6th. Wow. What month are we in? Okay. January 6th. So next weekend, which is a Saturday, and I will likely film on Friday evening or early Saturday. I'm not sure when everyone will come over, but I may have no yarn behind me for that episode because that's the only way I can think of to do my stash record, just to make sure, you know, everything I have in my spreadsheet is actually what's here, is to pull it off, because it's going to be the only way I don't lose something. And, you know, I'm not sure. Some of these are pretty tightly tucked in here. Don't want a little guy to be missed in the back there. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Spreadsheet is mostly done though. Other than like, actually, I don't think I made all of the EKF yarns in there. That was the last one I had to do from last week. And then these ones, they don't generally go up in here until they're in the stash tracker. That's just the way I keep track of things. Okay. But I do have some fun things to talk about. So this is a revisit. Like I said last episode, I'm not going to have anything new to wear. I will have the Duotone done next week, so I'll have something new for that episode. But I'm going to have to just be re-wearing things, which is totally fine by me. This is a revisit, but refreshed, because I haven't worn it on a podcast since I changed from my fun neon rainbow to our little neutral tanny color here. So this is a High Time top by Kimberleigh of Golden Boy Knits. Golden Boy, in case anyone was wondering, is also, I think, the name of her dog, or at least her dog's nickname, and she does make everything in gold, yellow, shades of yellowy, tanny gold, right? Like just everything, which is really incredible as an aesthetic. Personally, like I would feel very limited, but I don't have an affinity to a color like that. So like if you do, I think that's the greatest. I know there are like people who are purple people and everything, that they want to make everything in purple or whatever. I mean, I did make a lot in green. I do love teal a lot, but I also love wearing other colors. But what a fun thing. Anyway, this is created, I'm going to do a super high level review. I'm not going to talk about this a lot in depth because we already talked about this in episode 5 or 4 or something like that. But that was a while ago. So this is a bottom up scooped neck, as you can see, tee. It has this fun fringe, which is a built-in line of right and left twist stitches. And then this is sort of like it's like a horizontal braid stitch or something like that. So every place has an attachment spot, so you don't have to like guess where you're going to attach the fringe. It's really nice. It keeps it all in a really fun straight line. You can make the pattern omitting that completely. You can also just have that as the detail if you wanted, depending on your yarn. I made the 1XL size with 4.5 millimeter needles, which was the suggested needle size. It's a 42-inch bust. at the largest point, it does have bust dart shaping. So I also said it's 42 inches. It definitely has negative ease. I'm also maybe like not like, once I washed it again, which I did a real long soak because this is alpaca yarn and it was hecka itchy when I first made it, and I did like a light soak, you know, just 15 minutes, whatever. With human conditioner, like hair conditioner, I used human conditioner, gross. Hair conditioner, I used in the water with a little wool wash to help soften this. Much softer, much nicer. It's got probably about 3 to 4 inches still of negative ease, maybe not the full 5. This is Cascade Yarns Eco Alpaca in black, which is not black. I mean, it's really similar to my hair color. It's like a very dark brown. I did argue with my husband that this is black, and I don't know. It doesn't have enough. It's warmer. It's warmer than black. That's what I have to say about it. Hard to tell in all the lights. This is, I don't even know. I think Wilhelmina Simply Worsted Nitpicks, maybe. And then I made mine slightly less cropped. I added a little bit of length to the sleeves, about 3 inches. And I added a tiny bit of depth. So I think I have all that in my Ravelry notes. So if you're looking and you like the fit of mine and you're about my size, those are some of the things. I have, as we've talked about lots of times, really like low sitting chest. So the way that the pattern was written, like I, you know, tried it on as best I could. Bottom up is hard. And this was just like going to be a little bit too high, and I wanted to have sort of like a truly scoop. Like I'm not showing any cleavage still where this sits on me. And I know for some people that would be like, your boobs are right here. That's not my problem. So, you know, that's a great customization you can add to this. It does have bust darts. That was a pretty cool thing. They're the kind that are just sort of like shells across. So like you're adding here and some short rows, which was nice. Make sure that it makes that, it's like, so it doesn't pull up that much in the front. Okay. Anyway, I said it was going to be fast and I just like said all the things. Okay. But as a reminder, this is how it fits. It sits for me like almost right at my natural waist. So it is cropped still. I mean, it's not, I wouldn't call it full length. But it's like, I wear a lot of high-waisted pants. Like it's not going to be, I'm not going to be showing belly in pretty much anything I own. It would be really cute with like a skirt. I don't really wear skirts, but I'm just saying it would be. Okay. So let's go right into my one, the dog is right here and she's going to knock the camera. Okay. My one finished object this week, which is something I dropped on the ground. Oi. Okay, which is yarn. So I did not finish anything else this week, and you know, I like really hoped in this time off, I mean, I knew I was going to be working some, that I would get a lot more knitting time in, but you know, life has a way of happening around you, and yeah, it was busy. I mean, it was the holidays. I filmed last on the 23rd, maybe. I think I did do it on the 23rd. So like, we had things to do, so much house stuff, or it was maybe the 22nd. Anyway, regardless, I had tons of baking to do, and so I was like not knitting for a couple of days. I will pop up a picture of my cookie boxes. That's my other finished object of this week. I made 27 of these bad boys. There are 11 types of cookies. I made 10 of them. My mom did make her specialty, which are hidden mint cookies, and are like a pretty plain rolled out cookie, like vanilla cookie, I guess, and it has a chocolate mint that you bake between 2 pieces of this thin sugar cookie type mixture. I had cowboy cookies, like snowballs. I don't know what people call them, lots of different things, like tea cakes, whatever. We had alfajores, we had sugar cookies, triple ginger cookies, chocolate chip cookies, snickerdoodles. What else? I don't even know. Oh, peanut butter blossoms. Oh, eggnog shortbreads. Those were good. That was fun. My macarons did not work out this year. New oven. issues. It was just a little bit too hot when I put them in, and I don't have an oven. I need to get one. I don't have an actual inside oven thermometer, and this guy's not super accurate. It's fine for the rest of the cookies, but macarons just, they had really nice feet, but they were super cracked on top. So I just did not remake them because I did not have time. I don't know if that's all the cookie types, but anyway, there was a box that was up for part of that. And I love giving these. I played Cookie Fairy the day after Christmas, and I just ran cookies around the city. Mike's family was over Christmas Eve, like a lot of his extended family, and we gave everybody a box to go as their favor, their like party favor for Christmas. Also, so they'd have cookies on Christmas. That's always fun. But yeah, so that was really fun, but cut into my knitting time. We had a little bit of a pet emergency this week too. Our dog is fine, that we know of. She just maybe pulled a muscle or something, was having some leg and side spasms for a bit of time, which was very concerning. I went to the emergency vet. I waited for 5 hours. What a fun time. I actually did knit while I was there, but I didn't have all the things I wanted to be working on, and you know, I didn't expect to wait quite that long. But we're very thankful she is okay, and seems to be fine. We've been taking it easy with her, just making sure that she's not doing too much jumping and other things. She's not old, she's 6, but she's a big dog and she's kind of oddly shaped. She's so beautiful. She just has like a really long neck, and she's got really lifted hips. She's really healthy, generally speaking, but you know, any dog can have back problems, or just, you know, anybody, just like a person, can tweak something if you move wrong. Anywho, yeah, this is why I don't have finished objects, but also it was like a really nice holiday weekend. I was glad I was not super trying to like only knit. My mom she got the week off. She's been going to the movies. She's been doing some fun things, which I'm so glad she got some time to do whatever she wanted to do. And we've been spending time with baby, which also means like I don't knit all day because I hang out with her. One of her favorite toys that she got for Christmas from her Auntie Caressa was a cat piano. It's like a little keyboard that's shaped like a cat. She is not able to play any music yet, but she sure can make a lot of noise. We've been having a lot of fun playing on the ground with that. Play some songs also, and she's really into dancing right now. Which she knows like baby dancing, so it's like a lot like this, which is really fun. Yeah, so let's talk about let's talk about yarn stuff now. Okay, that's my life. There's my life update. Yarn things. I finished a yarn. I had a lot of days of resting in between this. Like, I had the singles done last week, and then I plied after the second single had rested a full 24 hours, which I have heard is the way to go. I don't know if you need to wait after you ply, but like usually I do, just because once I'm done plying, which I had to do over 2 days because this is so much yarn, I was like real over it. I was not about to go wind this on a nitty knotty and wash it. So I gave myself a day or so, and then I did that, and then I washed it, and then I had to dry it. Now it's done and it's beautiful. I just like threw this on the ground accidentally, so there's already dog hair on it. This is skein, my newest skein. See, dog hair. Okay. And it's from those pretty singles I showed you last week, which actually this is a lot bluer looking than I thought it would be, and it's a lot like that purple, like there was a lot of gray, which I think ended up looking a little bit more brown when it was spun, like from the roving. But because there's purple in there, I think it reads really like light blue purple, which I love. It's really nice. Let me tell you what it is. It is Into the Whirled. It was the 2023 colorway, because I think this is like a club colorway, and it is Falkland, and the colorway is called Overtime Contingency, and I'm 99% sure I got this, and I didn't even just look back. I got this from Erin Balala, who owns Backloop Yarn Co., from her D-Stash page, And I think she was just like having a deal. Like I got a couple, which was not that long ago. I would have gotten it in October, probably maybe November. And I just can't even remember. I put it on the shelf and then it just sort of, you know, it sits there and it was calling to me as the color to be made. Partly because I wanted to use Falkland. I wanted to use something different than BFL. But like, let's look at, can you see? It's hard to tell because there's nothing to compare it to, but there's some, it's pretty thin. I think that I did the math and it's like 430 yards that I got out of this, which is, I didn't weigh it. It's not quite 4 ounces, probably at least 3.5. So we're talking, this is a sock yarn. You guys, I made a fingering weight yarn. That was actually my goal. I wanted to see if I could spin a little bit thinner and keep it consistent. The Falkland was really easy. Like I felt like more so than the BFL, like maybe it's a little less sticky because like I didn't feel like I had as many like patches where I get the little, you know, I'm going to say bloop because that's the only word I use for all of those things. But like, you just like, when I was doing the BFL, the last BFL, I feel like there were pieces where it would just be a little bit sticky and then you'd have to go and you'd have to really pull out like to make it thin. And I would like feel those as I was going and then I'd have to stop and I'd have to untwist a little and pull and you know, and I felt like I did that a lot less. I felt like there were a couple of times where this was a little underspun and so like it would come apart. Part of that was it was moving. I was moving quicker. It's just like all things I'm learning. I was moving a little bit quicker. I do a short forward draw. But like, as it was so thin, I was like, I don't know. I don't want to over twist it. I don't, you know, and I had a lot of over twisting was my first issue. We got to a little bit of under twisted, which was fine. There was one place while I was, plying that it broke. Was not a big deal. Actually, there were 2 I was playing. One when I moved it to the Nitty Nutty, which is interesting because that was probably one of those weak points. A little bit of spit, a little bit of rolling in your hands, and it's fine. I'm not going to notice it while I'm knitting, I'm sure. But I brought over my last 2 skeins. You guys, this is all of the yarn that I have done all by myself, other than my really bulky Corriedale, which I don't even know where it is. I threw it in the closet somewhere. These are my like very fun, more recent skeins that I've done. The dog hair is real. Hold on. Okay, so you can see this was 3, you know, the first one I finished. And then this middle one was the one I finished last week. And then this is my most recent. And you can see it is definitely thinner. They've gotten progressively thinner. I actually really like the weight of this one. This, as a reminder, is 2 full 4 ounces. It's not quite full 4 ounces because I had like some of this gray left over, which might have been a little bit more than 4 ounces because that one was just measured off at the store, right? Like it wasn't weighed in a bag. It was just measured off at La Mercerie. Anyway, I still have a little bit of that. But you can see like, so this is definitely like a DK weight, like a heavy DK maybe. This one is like almost a sport. And then this one is a fingering. How fun. Definitely some progress. You can even see in this one though, let me find a good spot where you can see it. Like the plying is not super consistent. There's some spots where it's like really loosely plied, like you can see it just, the color overlaps are not as much. There was a lot of this while I was doing it and I just feel like the room wasn't bright enough. When it was 2 colors, I was like, I'm not sure if, or when it was the same color that was going from the 2 bobbins, like, I was like, I don't know. I'm not really sure how plied this is. Like, I couldn't really see it. I was just going by feel. Like right here, you can see those brown pieces in the middle are really loosely plied compared to like this piece underneath it here, which is like really tightly plied. I'm not even nitpicking. Like, it's just something to learn, something different. I think the next thing I might want to do is a 3-ply. And I'll probably do that with just some other color. Oh, these are so nice. Now I got to make something with them. Yeah, I'm thinking maybe I'll do a 3-ply just to try it out. Or maybe I'll try a chain ply. I just feel like I want to do something different. I mean, it's all just like, still, I'm just learning things, especially because I have some spinning goals for this year, and I don't want to, I feel like I need to have, you know, I don't want to have it be the same exact thing all the time, right? Like, I don't knit the same sweater and over. I don't want to do exactly the same thing. Granted, your yarn color makes the whole experience feel really different. It really does. And there is something about spinning that is like methodical and the same, but it's like having the prep and the end product be a little bit different is nice. I think what I might do is I might do, you know, something different as my next one, like the chain ply or a 3-ply. I have to think about that. And then maybe I'll knit with one of these fractal spins, which are these last two. The one I just finished and the grape vines one. What if I knit something with one of these two, that will kind of give me show me a little bit of how they act. I've seen Ariel, she has done several fractal spins lately, since she started spinning, and I've seen products, like I've touched them, I've seen the projects that she's done, and so I have a good idea, but I feel like I just need to knit with it, you know, it's like part of experiential. Okay, moving on. I only brought down 2 whips to talk about, and that is on purpose because I only have, so I'm going to talk about the Duotone, and I'm going to talk about my socks, the Vervain socks. The only other whips on my needles right now going into the new year is the Calm Down cardigan, the Leith cardigan, and my Cinnabar. 5 projects, y'all. That's it. The reason I am going to only talk about these 2 is those are the only 2 that really got any kind of activity this week. I did work on my Leith sleeve a little bit, but like it's like 3 inches more. I didn't even add any, I don't think I added any rows to my Cinnabar, and I didn't pick up the Calm Down cardigan again yet, even though that was like something I wanted to do this week. I still might do it before the new year, like as something, like just a goal to get, I do have a couple of like little goals to get done before the 31st, but like I'm not going to talk about them. We'll talk about them later. We have fun things to talk about this week. So I do have a lot of progress on this because this was the neediest of the projects right now because it's got a very soon date, test date. This is a test knit for Rachel Costello Knitwear, and this is called the Duotone. As you can see, you knit it with 1 color fluff and a different color fingering to create this kind of fun effect, and you've got all these I-cord finishes. There's one in the back also, and that's so fun. I finished not 1, but 2 sleeves this week. Woohoo! The fit is really cute so far. And what I didn't realize, so last night I picked up the body again. I put my little marker of where I had the body done until, so if you remember, you have options in this. You can just do a traditional bottom up with starting with the hem or whatever. I guess you would still, because I don't think she has instructions for starting with the hem. You would start your body and go up, and you would still have to do a pickup for your hem anyway, like which is in just your fingering. I chose to do like a good amount of body, but I wasn't really measuring. I was just like, I'm gonna do this until I run out of a ball of yarn. I need 11.5 inches of body, and I think I have like almost 10.5, maybe a little bit over 10.5. So I have 1 inch of body left, and then I'm going to speed right into the hem, which I'm also going to do the faux ribbing for. So we talked about this last week. I did a faux ribbed neckline, which it looks really cute. It's super cute. You can really see it, like it's just like, but it doesn't look like an I-cord, even though that's essentially what it is. In the sleeves, so I think the last episode, I didn't move it over because I put it on the bottom. Whoops. But in the last episode, I had like picked up and done a little bit of one of these sleeves. I finished the sleeve pretty quickly. You can see the I-cord runs all the way down. It looks so nice. So this Cuffs were interesting. So I did just the recommended, like how she recommended to finish if you're doing the faux ribbing, which the faux ribbing also can be 1x1. You could just do 2x2 if you wanted. She gives you a 1x1, or she gives you I-cord, just I-cord options in the pattern. How she finished for the sleeves, instead of doing, you know, 4 inches and folding it over whatever you did for the neckline, she recommends that you do your faux ribbing and then you do an I-cord bind off, which kind of makes it like bloopy, you know, like it kind of makes it like, I don't know, it doesn't look that clean to me. Like this looks like floppy and strange, but I have not blocked it yet. And you can see this faux I-cord is a little bit tighter, maybe just because I felt comfortable with that as a concept, and also because I don't like droopy cuffs. And I tried it on and I was like, oh yeah, I can make sure this is pretty tight. So if you see this on, it actually looks very cute on, even with the I-cord kind of having that what do you call this, sticks out a little bit. It's okay. I think when it blocks, it'll block a little bit more evenly, and so it'll be fine. I'm not going to pull it very much because I don't want it to grow there, because I want it to fit on my wrist that way. I did the sleeves just to pattern. I didn't add any length, and they fit fine. I mean, they fit really nice, actually. I did try it on the other day. And I think 11.5 inches will be great for me, so I will just do this to pattern. It is oversized. It won't be cropped, but it definitely won't be super long as far as the sweater goes. So, and that's fine. It's the drop shoulder makes it does like droop a little bit more on my body than just that 11.5 inches from the underarm, because the underarm sits a little bit lower. Really enjoying this knit, and I'm very glad it'll be done on time. I have like several days left, several as in like literally several, 4 something. So I do need to get moving, but I was so close last night to finishing this ball of yarn. That was kind of what I wanted to do, but I decided I really wanted to move on to working on my socks. So these are, oh, sorry, details really fast on that because I talked through like what it is, but I did not talk through the sizing. So it's a size 5, 54 inches. Recommended ease is 6 1/4 to 11 3/4 inch positive ease. 4.5 millimeter needles for the body and 4 for the ribbing, which is recommended. What's recommended? I'm using Zeezee Textiles non-superwash fingering and ink, which is 100% non-superwash merino. It's a 2-ply. It's 400 yards for 100 grams, and her baby Surrey in the color leather. These are both, by the way, from her, I don't think I've said this before, from her sweater quantity library. So you can go onto her website anytime, and she's got a lot of colors. Like, I mean, there've got to be more than 40. I don't know how many more there are. A lot of colors on there to choose from. And she dyes these gorgeous tonals. She has some variegateds on there also. It's more tonals, I think, than anything. These are from past collections or whatever. Well, she has like all her Malabars. Those are variegated. Anyway, they're so pretty. And for like, you can order up, I think everything has to be 3 skeins or more, and you can order just like any color you want, which is so amazing, because that's like, sometimes that's hard. You miss a pre-order and you're like, oh shoot. If it's like you want to match to a certain color, or you need a couple other skeins, there's never a guarantee that they're going to look exactly the same between 2 different dye days or dye weeks or months or whenever you get them later. But it is nice that that's an option. Plus she has gorgeous colors, so it's nice to just like be able to go in there and grab them later. I think the color collection, which we're going to talk about later because that's what came in the mail, will also be, at least some of it will be on there in the future. Anyway, so sorry, this was 74% Surrey alpaca, 26% silk, 328 yards for 50 grams. Okay, so let's talk about the Vervain socks. This is, the pattern is called Vervain. It is in the 52 Weeks of Socks book by, it's a Lina book, by Sachiko Bergen. She got married. We talked about this before. I think her last name is Johnston now, but in the like on Ravelry and stuff, that's what it's still under. And Her Instagram handle is SaichikoB. I'm doing the second size, which is the large. I mean, there's only 2 sizes, so size 2. 72 stitches. I'm using 2.25 millimeter needles, not 2.5, which is what's recommended. But I'm using really similar yarn to what was used. So this is, I think I said the wrong thing last time, or I maybe just like deleted it out. But this is Farmer's Daughter Fibers. Highwood sock in the colorway I could not remember. It's called Anna's Hummingbird, which is what the pollinator was for December, not the cardinal flower or whatever it was. It's 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. It's a 2-ply, and it is 400 yards for 100 grams. Okay. I did finish one of the socks, so it's a halfway finished object. I did not knit them concurrently or whatever. I did not use the Charlotte method this time, only because I didn't know where my second needle was. I like cleaned up a bunch of stuff and then put it away. I found it, but I was already like pretty far through the sock and I was like, whatever, it's fine. And also because I have to chart knit this like every single row until you get to the toe. You're looking at the chart. Like I said last episode, I'm not smart enough to follow this chart like out of memory. Like they're a little bit every other row, you're really just doing the purls, but that's not even true because sometimes the even rows, you're also you're doing something extra, right? So I was like, this is going to be too hard for me to follow without the chart. So I did the chart and I didn't want 2 of them at the same time because if I just started reading the wrong chart, problems. So here's my one. This is my left sock. The pattern goes on the outside of your foot. So this is a left sock. I did just like the toe, recommended toe from the pattern because I just didn't feel like thinking last night. I am going to steam block this for our my finished object video so that you guys are like, you know, when they're next week, they'll be finished. I am really trying to get these done this year. So I have 2 more days and I have this much of the second sock, which is not very much, but it's possible if you just believe. I finished this sock and cast this on and did this last night. So it's like, I mean, I really do need Duotone is more important to get done because that's a test knit and I promised to get things done on that timeline. This one, I did not promise anybody anything, but I really would like to get it done and have all of my 2023 socks done in 2023. It's a dumb goal. I may do it. Yeah, anyway, I love this color. Like the color of the foot, like look how gorgeous that is. It is really, really, really beautiful. It's definitely my favorite color from the sock squad this year. I'm like, I would make a sweater out of this. It's just so lovely. Okay. That is all for that. Wish me luck. I'm gonna need it. But it would be so cool. Wouldn't it be so cool if I just finished it all in one year? I made a real tangle here with like only 2 projects and I still got myself tangled. Okay, let's move right along to acquisitions. I'm going to show you the surprise one first. Okay, so in October, God, I don't know when, maybe October, I want to give away on Instagram. I love giveaways on Instagram. I actually enter far less than I used to when I was like, really, I need all the yarn, right? I don't need all the yarn. I will enter things that are like sweater quantities, pattern giveaways, things like that. Especially if I like love the design. So I'm not just entering anything. This particular one is a fun one. So it was on Size Inclusive Collective and she was partnering with size inclusive designers and like small dyers, which are 2 things I love so much. So I was like, yes, I'm here to support this, even just, you know, commenting to share with others and whatever. But this is Thistle House Yarns. And I honestly, I'm going to tell you right now, she has great colors. I have shopped on her website before. I have not done any of her pre-orders. she had a Dune collection, which actually I think, no, maybe these aren't even Dune colors. I can't remember what I picked. But she also has some colors that are like, you can always pre-order from certain colors that are on her website. So that's what I went to look through. And I got a sweater quantity. It is for the half-tone pullover, which I'll put a picture of up here. I'm not going to talk about this a lot because I haven't decided if I will actually use this yarn for that pattern. I got enough to make the pattern. That's what in my size, that's how much yarn I got. I like this pattern a lot. It's very fun. I'm just like, this is not on my top list of things to make right now. It was a giveaway. I redeemed my yarn. And then I will see how I feel once I get down to it. But I do really like the pattern. It's very cool. It's a great way to use, like, if you don't have full sweater quantities of colors, that's a great way to use yarn. Oh, this was double bagged, so I still have no idea what color I got. Oh, I did a good thing. Okay, I got colors I really like. Okay. So I got 2 skeins of this color. These are both 100% superwash merino. It's 438 yards for 100 grams, and I got the colorway Bell Metal. Bell Metal, like to make the metal to make a bell. So it's really pretty overcast blue color, right? Like it's a little bit gray, it's blue, it's definitely like super tonally, it's really pretty. And then I also got 3 skeins of, because I guess whatever, the 2 colors of the pattern. I wanted more of this one. Yeah. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it, but I really love this color. It's called 10 Fathom Sea, and like, oh, it's so pretty. I will tell you, I have a really similar blue right up here that, if you guys remember, I got from Flock. Don't fall things out. From Porter Wool Co. And it's more electric. The Porter Wool Co. color, definitely like more electric. This is more of like a royally blue, not like an electric royal blue. But I really love this, and I have 3 skeins of it. So actually I could make other tops, independent tops. And that maybe is what I was thinking about doing, and doing a t-shirt with this. Like if I don't want to make the halftone, I don't know. I'm not committed. It's not like I got the yarn, you know, with the understanding that I had to make that. So we shall see. Okay. And then my color collection order came from Zeezee Textiles, and I went a little bit crazy, everyone. Okay. Are you ready? Neither am I. Okay, this is just like it's noisy. I'm really sorry about it. I can't even show you this in the bag because it just isn't give you the full effect that I know it has outside of this bag. It's like going to be so shiny on this color. So I got two of these. This is in her non-superwash merino. It's the natural fingering. So what I'm using in ink for my Duotone is this. And it is a little bit warmer. I'm going to tell you what I want to make with this. I would like to make a Dear Duomo with this. I'll put a picture up here. I saw the swatch of this. I was not convinced I wanted this color at all until I saw the swatch of it. And then I said, I have to have that color. It's a little bit warmer than I remember from the swatch, but also that's just like the color that's presenting on the top right here is that goldy color. It is all of the colors from all of the tonals are in here from the color collection. So you can see lots of other goodness in here. Yeah, in the non-superwash, there's definitely like a lot of watercoloriness happening here. But like you can see, that color that's on top, that gold, it's just the color that's on top. I don't think it's going to be entirely gold or anything. The Dear Duomo is a fingering and some sort of floof held together. I think I'm going to do a mohair because I don't want to like totally take away from this color. I waited to get anything though until I saw it in person and I can figure out what color I want to pull the most forward. I might message Rachel too and see what she says about it. But I'm kind of thinking I might do like a really soft lavendery gray or like a lavendery blue and try to pull it a little bit cooler. Or just like not like an off-white. That might be nice too. What do you guys think? Anyway, I'll put a picture of the swatch up too so you can see why I fell in love with this color. And I just feel like a Dear Duomo is a really, really, really great way to show off. It's a Sunky Knits pattern, in case I didn't say that. It's a great way to show off a color because it's just a stockinette sweater. But it has like, there's only 2 Sunky Knits patterns, but I know she's like got an eye for the detail, the little things that will make it like look really, really special, even though it's just a stockinette sweater. Okay, it's gonna get loud again for a second, but I'm gonna pull out all of these because they go together. Okay, also, sorry, I didn't say that color is called Tapestry. Now, hopefully I've edited out most of the noise for you guys, but here is my order. I think I'm only missing 2 colors, maybe even just 1 color from the color collection because I'm a crazy person. Look how beautiful they are together. I did good. Rachel did good. I'm so excited. It's a really nice hug. I'll go through what they all are. I'm going to start with the 2 that I got that more of, and I'll tell you why in a second. So all of these are Tweed DK. They're all 231 yards. Oh, we talked about the non-super wash before. You guys can go back if you want to know the things for this. It's 85% superwash merino, 15% Donegal Neps. It's a 4-ply. It's 231 yards. I don't know if I said that already. Anyway, regardless, this one, and so this is called Luster Blue, which it's a really lovely like medium blue, and this one called Seal, which is a near black. It's kind of close to this, actually a little bit lighter. The tweed also makes it look that way, but are 2 that will be not main colors, but they will have a little more going on in the pattern that I will talk about in 1 second. This is Eggshell. Super cute. I feel like my camera is like doing a weird halo thing, but sorry. This is Gold Brown. Oh, I think I didn't get 2 colors. I think I didn't get Cardinal, which is red, and some yellowy color, like yellower color. This is Tiger Lily, which is this gorgeous orangey color. This is called Palmetto. It's like a really lovely, it's a green that's not, it's a gray green. It's not like olive green. It doesn't have warm. It's like the level of olive green, but like cooler, like an army green color kind of. I don't know. It's called Palmetto. And then this one is called Old Rose. It has that sort of like dusty mauve color. Mauve, whatever. Okay, what am I going to make with this? That's a great question. I am going to make a losing yarn. I'm going to make an heirloom quilt cardigan. That's what I'm going to make with these. I did not need quite this much yarn, but like pretty much. And I'll tell you why. So I'll pop up a picture here. This is by Katrin Seeberger. And I think I talked about this when the pattern first came out. I have been watching the journey of her making this and then the testers, and it was kind of a long testing timeline, I think, maybe, kind of. I'm not really sure. But it came out in the fall, and I wanted to make one immediately. And I have a lot of stash. I could have made this from stash. I found a couple combos that weren't quite enough yarn, and then it's like, well, did I want to throw in something weird? Did I want to buy something for it? Which, Yes, I could have, would have been more economical. But I don't really have, I have very little tweed in my stash. And when I pulled out a couple of these combos, what I felt like I felt like was missing was the tweed. And no, I don't need it to be in tweed, but I kind of do. That's the dog. Can you hear her? She's having a dream. Okay. I needed it to be in tweed. That's what I kept dreaming of. It's how her original sample is. Not every person who's made it since, but definitely not every tester was in tweed. Very cute with other yarns. Totally a great stash buster project. You could use 30 yarns for this and it would be amazing. I might make more of them, who knows, but I'm going to try this one and I want it to be something I really love. So I bought yarn for it. I really loved the color collection and I loved so many of these colors from Rachel that I just like couldn't pick. And instead of getting a bunch of sweater quantities or even 3 sweater quantities, I got a large sweater quantity and a regular. It's large also because, I mean, like in a DK, I need 7 skeins usually for a sweater. So it's not, or, you know, 6 or 7. So it's not like it's that many more than, it's just, it's oversized, it's a cardigan, and also I'm not going to use every piece of all of the, you know, like every bit of all of these colors. But I did a little like mapper on my phone and it's just like, this is I felt like without some of these, it like felt like something was missing. So it doesn't really matter. I don't need to justify it to anybody. This is what I decided to do. I'm really excited to cast this on. It's definitely going to be a January cast on for me because I think I'm going to make this a little bit of a long-term project. I just know I'm not going to get it done before I will really want to wear it, though this is like a good throw over. Cardigans are good for the office, in my office, just to throw over and or have on my chair. But because this is sort of bite-sized, you start by making squares. I can just work one, you know, one every couple of weeks and I feel like I'm making progress, and then I don't also have to bring the whole thing out to show you guys. I can just show you a square. The other reason I got more yarn than you'll see in the pattern suggestion is because I was looking at the testers and the original pattern is quite cropped, super boxy, like 70 inches for a medium. That's huge. That's like twice the size of the, you know, a person, but like twice the bust size probably for like a smaller medium. But it has just 3, I think it's just 3 rows of these cardigan squares. I saw Amanda from Birch and Lily Fiber, is that what her handle is? Something like that. Anyway, and a couple others that had done 4 squares tall to make it hit more almost hip width. So I decided I needed to add that, and I asked her how much yarn she used per square so I could figure out like total yardage, how much I would need, and like I can fudge it with a lot of other things. I also like the pattern, like sleeves and stuff. They're like really billowy, kind of balloony, and so I wanted to make sure I had enough yarn in at least one, you know, 1 or 2 of those colors, which is what the Seal and Luster Blue, one of these, likely this one will be the collar and the bottom. So it'll be a little bit less featured in the squares, but it'll still be there. And then this one, I might do both sleeves in the same color. But I might do cuffs in a different color. I don't know. We shall see. Relatively soon, because I'm excited to make it. I'm stoked. That was a really exciting, like, I've been waiting for this one, and I just like, I'm glad it came now because I wasn't ready to cast it on before next week or whatever. I don't think it'll be my New Year's Eve cast on. I have an idea for that, but I'm not certain. Yeah. Okay, well, that's the exciting things. That was like a relatively short wrap up of things. And so I have some other things to talk about. Oh, let's talk about books really fast. I think I only finished one book this week, which is called There's Something About Mary. It's the second of the Mistletoe romance by Codi Hall. You guys, I said this wrong every time. Their last name is not Holidays. Their last name is not Christmas. Their last name is Winters. which is a kind of a more normal last name. Anyway, that one was really cute. The main character is a crafter. She actually does a really hilarious craft thing, which is semi-believable. Not quite in the, I mean, they never describe how big the thing is that she makes a lot of, but like that it's so fast for her to do like 45 minutes. I think that's a little unrealistic, but it's pretty funny. It's a cute holiday romance. If you are ever looking for a fun and cute holiday romance, it's a good one. There's like a single dad is involved in this, and that's pretty, I mean, it's not different or anything, it's not super unique, but it was a nice, they had nice interactions. The way he handled a lot of his things it was very nice parenting. Okay. I am reading two things. Do I only have two? At least two. This is about what I've written down. So that's probably it. On Audible, I have Shadow Rising. I'm still reading by Robert Jordan, which is the 4th in the Wheel of Time. I am also reading Bookshops and Bonedust, which is a prequel to the Legends and Lattes. It's about Viv, and it's by Travis Baldree, and he actually reads it too. He's a pretty good narrator. It's moving. It's fun. It's not very long. I really loved Legends and Lattes. Legends and Lattes was like a fireside. It was just like ooey gooey, super slow, romantic-y, but not in the, is a very no peppers, like maybe one pepper. It's very, very like light. But it was a sweet story. And I really like loved all the characters, and I really like the characters in this one also. And then I'm still reading Fractured Trust, which is the 3rd of the Fractured Rockstar series by L.M. Dalgleish. And that's all for books. I don't have that much to say this week. They're all going fine. Shadow Rising, I gotta say, Wheel of Time is so... I read them while I'm doing things sometimes, and I'm like a relatively good, I read them on the faster of the side of things, usually not quite 2 speed, because it's like hard for me to, there's so much going on, but they're really long, and I actually just feel like there's not that much, like I was thinking about this the other day, there's not that much that he's just like being really slow or super descriptive or like really tangential in all his story. Like there's just a whole lot going on with all of the characters. There's a little bit of internal dialogue for all of them, you know, like what are they thinking while they're doing certain things. But there have been a lot right now, as at the beginning of this book, like everybody got together at the end of the last one, and now they're gonna go off on their own adventures again, and probably end up in the same place at the end of this one as well, doing something else crazy and fantastical, but I do not know that yet. It's just my prediction. Okay, dog, just lay down. She has to do like 12 circles. Okay, there she is. She's so nice. Okay. I have a really quick segment I would like to do, which I will talk about this. I'm going to do my Everything I Made in 2023 video. If you do not like those videos, you can skip it. I am going to talk about some like Yarny highlights though from 2023 now. And I will say maybe a couple of these things also in the beginning of that video, but because I know there's some people that just like to watch those videos, right? So like, whatever. I won't like just completely repeat myself, but I got some really good questions from our knit group to go over, and I have a couple of like project stats. So I'm not done everything. I think I might have included like the duotone in this count, but I have some fun categories. How I keep track of my projects, I keep track of them in a spreadsheet, what I'm working on, partly because for the podcast, so I have to like take these notes week over week, and like I have different notes for YouTube versus like for the notes section in YouTube versus what I put in to make sure I talk about during the podcast episode. So I set it up, like when I start the project, I set up all this information and then I can just pull from there. The project spreadsheet also like make sure, did I put it in Ravelry? Did I put pictures in Ravelry? Like I've got some things that I keep track of in there. Did I put it on Instagram? Those kinds of things. But I also mark them in categories. So I mark by type of finished object, like what it is. Socks. The categories are just like things that as I want to put them, like hats, headwear. So it's like hats and headbands and things. Shawls and cowls, scarves, maybe is all one category. Not really sure. Maybe shawls, cows and scarves are another. Socks, sweaters, and I think I have pullovers versus cardigans because they are very different projects. And like tees and tanks. So it's just like things so I can see like how many did I do of each of these categories. But then I also put them in like a type. Was it a knit along, which includes my friend knit alongs? Was it a test knit? Was it a gift knit? So here's all the things. So I have some really quick stats for you. I don't have a total done number for this year yet, but I think I have 68 projects that are done as of right now. Hopefully these other two will go in there. This does not include any yarn also, which is not that many, but tests. I did 25 test knits this year. I did 7 sock test knits, 10 garments, which was a split between pullovers and tees. Like long sleeve pullovers and tees. I did 7 hats and 1 shawl. I completed 9 samples this year. That they were 2 tees and tanks, 2 sweaters, 2 cowls, 1 shawl, and 2 hats. And gifts, I knit 20 gifts this year, knit and crocheted. I have very few crochet projects from this year, but I did include those in here. And then my categories for these are that 5 of those were from test knits. So test knits that I decided either I already knew going in that I wanted to give it to somebody, or after the fact I decided. And 1 was a make along. 3 of them were baby blankets for gifts. This is gifts. 3 baby blankets, 5 garments, which I just put garments here, but it was like there's a cardigan, at least 1 sweater, a couple sweaters. I did also include things I knit for baby in here. So like I would count it as a gift if I give it to my husband or my mother who will live with me. So I also count it as a gift for the baby because I'm not wearing it. So sorry, 5 garments, 3 socks, 6 hats, 2 shawls, and 1 stuffy for the baby. And then I did 8 knit-alongs. I think that's correct, including turtle dove. And the knit-alongs include things like my friendship pullover that I knit with Ariel. Yeah, there are a few of those that happened this last part of the year as I got into my knitting group. So those are just like a little bit of a recap, some of the things that I knit into. When I talk through projects in my next episode, in the Everything I Made in 2023, I will be covering a couple of like really, it's a lot of things to cover and I don't want it to take 72 hours to make. So I am going to have the things that I have made and have in my house still. I'll bring them all down to this room. Actually, half of them are already down here. I will also be, I'll share the pattern, the yarn, and a couple of key facts about them and like my thoughts and feelings in a sort of brief format so that we can kind of get through them pretty fast. I'll probably talk a little bit more about garments because I feel like that's what more of y'all are here for, but also because those are the things I have more information on, like as I'm wearing them. Okay. So here are some questions that I got. If you watched Ariel's podcast, some of these will be the same. Sylvan and Katie sent them to both of us. But I thought they were really fun questions to answer. So my favorite thing I made, this was really hard for me because I love, like, every newest thing I create is my favorite thing. Like, always. But I actually think one of my very favorite projects, both because I thought it was really enjoyable to make and also just made me really happy, like, all around, was the Whitmore, which is a gift knit for my best friend, Sarah. I don't have it here. I don't wear it. So the second part of this question was it the thing I wear, or what's the thing I wear the most, and are they the same thing, and why? So this one, it's not here, so that's why. I would say the favorite, I was like looking at all my garments I made this year, and I just like, it's so hard for me to pick a favorite. Because again, it's maybe not my favorite thing to wear, but I think my favorite one I made this year is my staple tee. And I think it's because I was so pleasantly surprised by how it turned out. The stripes, it just made me really happy. It's, yeah. And I knit that kind of towards the end of the summer. So I've not worn it a ton of times. I have grabbed it and I've worn it on several occasions. I feel like it's super wearable and it's really cute and it's a little bit different with that like highlighter color traveling down, and yeah, it just made me happy. Okay, what is the thing I wear the most or wore the most this year? I did not keep track the whole year of like, it's not a goal of mine. It's, you know, it's not a resolution or whatever. I also hate that word resolution for New Year's goals. I'm going to call them goals. But I am going to make an attempt this year to track a little bit more what I wear. I think of a better way to do it. I started doing a little bit this past quarter, but I don't like the way I was doing it. So I want to just like, Knit California does this, Leslie. She tracks what she wears. So she can see like in the month of October, I wore, you know, hand knits 22 times and 8 of them were my clove sweater, you know, like that's numbers from her, not me. I've never made a clove sweater, but those are some fun things to note. Just like see what you're getting the most use out of. It's also like a good way to inform, like maybe you need another of or similar style to something that you grab a lot, or like maybe that's a color choice that you feel like looks best on you or whatever. But as I was thinking about it, I'm pretty sure the t-shirt that this got the most wear, partly because it was the first t-shirt done this year, and it's very oddly, like I feel like it's super wearable with like my shorts and other things I have in my closet, and that's the Peep Show pullover. It was the first, I think I wore it in my first episode, maybe my second episode. It is not a pattern I would like to recommend to anybody, and that's so unfortunate. Especially for bigger sizes, unless you are okay doing a ton of mods. Go through my Ravelry page and find the mods. It's a cute concept. I think it's not actually very size inclusive with the way that it's made. There's no like underarms, cast on underarm stitches. For shaping, like the way that the shaping was done in increases for a circular yoke didn't really make sense for, yeah. So I'm not going to recommend it, but it is something that I got a ton of wear out of. So there we go. And then actually, oddly enough, my Skyline pullover has probably been the thing worn the most this fall and winter. I still feel meh about that yarn. But I think I said I never like actually gave you guys an update. I wear it all the time. It's still a tiny bit crunchy. It's not the soft. It's definitely not anywhere near the softest thing in my wardrobe, but it also feels really durable. And at the same time, it's because it's mostly like it's a lot of cotton. It feels really breathable. So I don't get overheated in it. It's so easy for me to throw on with like just leggings. Like I don't feel like I need to dress up to wear it. So I do wear it all the time. Okay. Why are they different? I mean, I think we just talked about that, but I'm hoping that some of the things I put on my want to make this list this year are going to make it for like my favorite thing is the thing I wear the most, but it also like depends on when you make it, right? Because like I feel like you're always finishing some of those, like my staple tee I finished in September maybe, so it was like a month I could wear it, and then you know we were getting into the cold. The cold days. Okay. What are my favorite yarns purchased in 2023? Again, I have so many. I love all the yarns I got at Flock. I love all the yarns I got at Summer Market. All of my pre-orders this year. But I did go through and I picked a couple, which, like, honestly, I didn't put in because I didn't have them pulled out. These colors from the color collection are up there in, like, just favorite purchase. But I picked out 3 that were calling to me. Okay. So number 1, this is the color that was made for me, and it's called Periwinkle, but also it's not on her website or anything. This is by Backloop Yarn Co. I made my ashling in the Surrey color of this, but this fingering color is kind of like it's the color of my dreams. It was the color of the year, maybe, I think this year or last year. Maybe that was last year. But anyway, I really, really love it. And I can't wait to make something with this, but I will say, funny enough, I have 3 of them here, and all 3 of these yarns have projects, like are like noted for projects, and did not make it to my make 12, which I did not do on make 9. I did a make 12, but this is not. This will be for a Cargill. The reason it's not on my make 9 right now or make 12 is because I need to find the perfect mohair to go with this. And I think I do want a mohair. I got the Surrey for it, but I didn't like the way that stitch pattern was popping out with the mohair. So, or with the Surrey. So I need to find a mohair that I really love, and I just haven't found one yet. Okay, second color, which I'm going to hold these up together because they look really similar, but I pulled them actually like a day apart. And I was like, bam. Anyway, I'm going to show them. So this one, okay, so sorry, this was also, in case this is Backloop Yarn Co. And I don't know if I said that. And I got this for just like as, you know, a custom order that I did place through her this year. This is Court of Dreams on Rocky's DK by Explorer Knits and Fibers. This was purchased for me at the Summer Market this summer in Denver by Sylvan, who's, you know, my Yarny godmother, and also is going to be a Brooklyn Raglan. And no, it did not make it to my make 12, even though I do really want to make this, and it's probably going to be, you know, an early, I think it's a transitional sweater, though it does scream to me a little bit like winter color. Anyway, maybe I'm just having the winter vibes. Like, I don't have enough blue and greens. Well, I don't have that many blue sweaters. I have a lot of green sweaters. These ones are leaning bluey, purpley green. They're the same color almost. This is called The Battle of Helm's Deep. They are really similar. This is Boucle from Long Dog Yarns. This is from the One collection. Also 100% superwash merino. You know, also a DK. Like, tell me those. I mean, they have the same vibe. They are not exactly the same color by any means, but they are. This one is going to, actually, I was thinking about making a home v-neck with this. I think that's an Ozetta pattern, or maybe cagery. I don't know. I have not purchased it yet. And there have been a couple other like boucle based sweaters come out this year. So I might revisit what I want to do with it, but I have hopefully enough for a sweater. I have 5 skeins. And so, yeah, those are 3 yarns I really, really love. When will I cast them on? Clearly, I don't know what I want to make with the boucle yet, so not right now. I would like to make the Brooklyn Raglan soonish, because I do I think it would be, Rocky's DK is like a good, we have like wet and semi-cold springs here, so I feel like it would be fine for me to wear like all the way through like April. So maybe I will get that one on the needle soon. The Cargill, I just need to find that other mohair, and I feel like I need to like go actually like bring that skein of yarn in to a shop and like look at it held with some mohairs, because I don't want it to be too gray. I don't want it to be too blue, like the color I picked that goes with it. Okay. What is a pattern that I bought but have not yet used in 2023 that I'm most excited about? When will I knit it, and what yarn? This is a hard question because there are so many that I want to make. Like, I have a long list of things. I think the pattern I've already purchased that I want to make the most. Gosh. I wrote something down, and I think that's a lie. That I wrote down my birch, which is definitely up there on the list of things I really, really want to make. But I think the thing I want to make the most right now is the wood anemone. Partly because I feel a little hype on Sorry Nordland right now. I've not made any Sorry garment patterns. I really enjoyed making the mystery knit along, the turtle dove shawl. And I just really love her aesthetic. There's a lot of things I love. I bought that pattern this fall when it came out, and I have the Ghouls yarn for it, and I feel like it's also calling to me as like a winter make because it's that icy kind of blue-gray color that I feel like would be so nice. And like I said, the Whitmore was one of my favorite makes this year, and this is so similar, and that is like a circular neck with like the similarly large lace charted pattern that goes through. It's different for sure. It's a little bit more going on than in the Whitmore, but I really love that look, and I think I'd like that for my own wardrobe. So that's what I'm saying. I am going to knit. I'm going to cast on soon, very soon, probably before February. I really haven't gone through and made like a what order of things I'm going to cast on, and I will talk about those things very shortly, but I have not yet done that, and I probably will pretty soon, but I might talk with the knit group before I decide, because we love to knit things together, and there are definitely a couple that other people have plans for, and so may cast on together. Okay. Another question is, what are my Yarny highlights from 2023? 2023 was a great year for me. It was a happy year. It was a really fun family year. Watching a 1-year-old, like watching a baby become a 1-year-old, is a really amazing phenomenon. They change so much. I know I'm going to say this every year likely, because she's even rapidly changing, still. But they go from such a very, very, very cute but very helpless stage to being like a little person with personality and so much more. It's really fun. Yarn-wise, it was also an amazing year because I grew my stash, which we'll talk about in a couple minutes. But this is the year I met my knit group, and I really truly fell in love with garments this year. I had been making garments since 2021. Whenever I made my first one, and I definitely explored a lot in 2022. But I think I hit my stride in 2023, and I've been making more things that I really truly love and will keep in my wardrobe for a lot longer. Okay, so a couple of Yarny highlights that were like things I can talk. I mean, I know I talk about our knit group all the time, but like they really are such an amazing group of girls. Like I needed it. It was a time in my life I really needed a moment to not just be mom and to have an evening a week where I leave my house and get to be Megan and get to be a grown-up person who has other interests than being a mom. And it's been amazing. We've had some really fun adventures together already. They're so much more than knitting friends. They're really amazing people. They're all so smart. They're kind. They're giving. They're caring. I can't ever say enough. I'm so glad that I found them this year. So some of the highlights that we did together actually is Flock. Flock was so fun. I cannot wait for next year. I think it was also my first yarn. It was my first ever yarn festival. So like, I was overwhelmed. I will handle it differently next year to a degree. It will be really different next year. I think just like the way that Jess is changing the weekend. The knit weekend that we did away was so fun. Something I can't wait for us to do again, and we will be planning at least one of those this coming year. And I also, this is unrelated to the knit group, but I was a loose ends finisher this year, which the Loose Ends Project, if you don't know, is a volunteer organization where people can submit projects from several different crafts. But they can submit projects that a loved one who's no longer able to craft or who has passed away, but left unfinished projects, they can submit them to get finished by a finisher across the United States. I got matched with somebody who was local to me, also like living here in Shoreline. And it was her mom's, a baby sweater and hat that she, was intending to make for her great grandchild. And so I finished those, and it was just a really special project to finish. I'll tell you more about it in our year of next, that episode. But it was really special, and it was like, it's such a nice thing to do. It didn't take me very long to do. And it's like, it's such a nice thing that family gets to have now. If you're ever interested in it, it's called Loose Ends Project. You can find them on Instagram. You can sign up. There's like, if you're a quilter, if you're a needlepoint person, if you crochet, if you knit, there's tons of different crafts I think they have listed now, and people can submit those. One nice thing too is like we saved on shipping since that person was local to me. They just dropped it in my house, and then when I finished it, she actually brought me a bottle of wine, which was so nice, and a thank you card, and it was just really sweet, and I got to meet her and hand it over. So yeah. Another question they had was, do I have any Yarny regrets? I don't think so. I was thinking about this earlier this week, and I just like, I bought a lot of yarn. I don't regret it. Oh, starting the podcast was also a highlight for me. I've had a greatest time just chatting with you guys every week. I've made a lot of really fun connections. Every one of your comments really brightens my week. I've had conversations on Instagram. People find me there. It's been so lovely. It's such a supportive and fun community, and I know there's a lot of content out there that you guys can consume. So thank you for watching me. That's so kind. Okay, this one is, what's a project by someone else that you want your own version of? And we talked about this last week because I got the yarn for it, but it is Codi from Paisley Knits, her Dorney sweater. I'm straight up copying her color. I copied the yarn. I want that Dorney sweater. It is the thing I have been dreaming of. It's actually, but it didn't make it into my favorite yarn that I purchased this year, because even though I'm like, want to make that project so much, I think it, like, just being a tonal, I like tonals. I mean, one of these colors was a tonal, but that one is not, I don't have as much of a connection with. I think part of the reason I also love that periwinkle color a lot is because it was a custom colorway I got to work with Erin on. She was so lovely during the process. It was another reason I fell in love with like her knitting company. Yeah. So, okay. This was a fun one. What is the oldest yarn that I used in a project this year? And I had to look back and see, and I can resoundingly say it was the staple tee. So the staple tee, all of my colored, like the non-tan color, all of the colored bands were Knit Picks Stroll Tweed from 2016. That's old. They're 7 years old. And that's how long they've been in my stash. And it wasn't even like I bought that de-stash. I mean, I have some de-stash yarns, who knows how old they are, that I used this year, but in my stash, oldest. And I'm so glad they sparked some inspiration this year. Okay, those are my highlights, high-level highlights for this year. I wrote out some yarn goals. Yarny related goals for 2024. Like I said, I don't like the word resolution because I feel like you're resolving usually generally not to do something. Like that's what people use that word for. It has negative connotations, and it's something that I don't really like. I don't love. So I did goals because also some of these are like project-based things, whatever. I have one around stash. I have a couple around things to make. I have a couple around spinning. So hopefully this is not overwhelming to anybody. I have them written down here. And And maybe I'll put them at the bottom, like in the comments or whatever, just copy and paste what I have. But it, for anyone who wants to know, our whole knitting group loves to use Freeform. It's a free app on Apple things. I have a MacBook, and so I've been using it when I go to purchase yarn. I put the pattern photo that I think I want to use with the yarn, so I also know the type and sweater quantity, like how much I need when I do pre-order. So I like have a list, and it's also then stays there so that when I go back and I get the yarn months later, I'm not like, what was I gonna make with that? Started doing that this year, and it's been super, super helpful. But I also put my goals in here. So I'll do a screenshot of my Make 12 in a second to show you all of them and how they're sort of organized. But I'll also pop individually up. Well, let me see how much I have to say about them. But I'm not going to pop the text up for the goals, but I will just put it in there. But because I have them in my Freeform, I am going to keep them up like all year round. They're there for me to like kind of make notes on how I've been doing. So my number one thing is stash related. It is not a no buy. It is not a banning of any kind of thing. What I'm requesting for myself is to be a little stash conscious. So what I want to do, and I try to do this anyway, but I do want to use what I have and already love. So there's one goal that is, this is a hard number, and that is to be 10,000 yards stash negative at the end of the year. What that means is I can certainly buy yarn, but I have to have more going out than coming in. Stash negative does not mean I have to use it in projects. It could just be that I sold some, that I gifted some, donated, whatever, it doesn't matter, just out of my house. What I will say, and when we talk about like the flat lay and other things in a couple of weeks, is I'm only talking about this yarn wall. Yes, I do have more yarn in my house than that's on this yarn wall. It's not tons. I have a little storage unit in next to my desk that has like a Red Heart and Big Twist and like the acrylic yarns that I use for baby stuff. And I have a couple of totes inside of the closet that's here to my left. That also is like mostly like a nicer acrylic, the like softer acrylics I have, and some old cotton yarns, things like that I use for like coasters and other things like that. I'm not going to include those in the flat lay, and I don't have them like those are not tracked in my stash. What that means is if I make any projects with them, I also probably won't count that against my stash numbers, right? Like as far as used versus coming in. I'm gonna think about, I might change my mind on that. That's what I'm thinking so far. But all of this here is what needs to be 10,000 yards negative. It's a pretty big number, but it's something like 6 sweaters or a little bit more than that. Several t-shirts, some sweaters. We are going to do a yarn swap with our knit group in the beginning of the year, which does not mean I'm not going to take any yarn, which will also count as incoming, right? But there's some yarn here that I will put into the pile because it's like more some other gals in our knit group's colors than mine. And they just, you know, it's a little yarn refresh we get to do with each other. But yeah, so what that really means is when I'm thinking about buying from pre-orders, I need to make sure I have projects like I'll use it in projects. I mean, I know some people do this when they do a pre-order, they try to use that much yarn before they get the yarn order, and that's like a really great goal. I think it will just make me be a little bit choosier in some of my yarn purchasing. I definitely am going to buy yarn when I go to Flock, right? Like I'm not going to be like, oh, I didn't use enough, I'm not going to buy yarn. I'm just going to try to use yarn that I have for all of these amazing projects I have picked out to do next year. And part of this note to myself is to buy with intention, not just because it's a good deal. I do have like a little bit of a tendency to be like, oh my gosh, but it's such a steal, so I've got to get it even if I don't absolutely love that color. I have a yarn store here. I don't need to purchase from other people's yarn stores just because it's a deal. Let somebody else have that deal. Yeah. Okay, so my second goal is around actually patterns I've purchased already. So I would like to make, so this is, could, you know, they're just tying into each other because I'm gonna need to use yarn. I would like to use 10 patterns I purchased in 2023 but have not yet used. I didn't put in here gifted because I've gotten gifted patterns too from doing samples and doing test knits and doing other things. But I've purchased more than 10 patterns and I would like to use them. I am not saying garments. Some of these were shawls, some of them were hats, some of them were socks. More of them were garments this year. I bought several Andrew Mowry patterns. There's just like, I want to use them because I got yarn for a lot of them and I love them. Okay, so this one also falls into the buying with intention, is I would like to be smarter about test knitting and sample knitting. That is not to say I'm not going to do either of those things this year. It's just if I am going to test knit, I'm only going to say yes to patterns I truly love, not just because I like the designer and the pattern looks okay. Something I do. As I said earlier, I have done a lot of tests this year. 25 is a lot. There were a lot of hats in there. There were a lot of socks in there. I just want to be smart about it. So you know, I like the pressure situation. I do like to knit, you know, with deadlines, but I have so many patterns in my queue that I just want to be smart about it. I don't want to shove things that I have the yarn for and really, really have been wanting to make for months to something that's like the shiny new object, right? So it's just being a little bit less like a squirrel for my making this year. I also only want to knit, and this one's not as hard of a rule, but I would like to only knit tests with yarn I have on hand unless I need to supplement like a small amount. Like if I don't even know what the case would be, but if it was like some smaller amount that I needed, like one contrast color and something that I already have a bunch of, you know, the yarn for or something. And I'm thinking I would like to do less than 20 test knits this year, which if I don't do as many hats, and I've not been like on the hat train, I think that's much more reasonable to do like even 10 or so, who knows. Okay, I have two spinning related goals. One of them is that I would love to do my sweater spin this year. I don't know if I'm going to be really ready for that, but I think that's like a good ambitious goal to have. I'm going to need to make sure I can be pretty consistent, but I have enough quantity to make at least a tee. So sweater / t-shirt, a garment spin, I guess is what I want to call it. And then I would also like to spin 4 pounds of fiber. I did the math on this. So 4-ish ounces per braid. So it's 16 braids over 12 months. So a little bit more than one a month. Like it's not that much. I've been spinning more like 1 every 2-ish weeks. I didn't want to make that because I didn't want it to be like a chore to do since it's still like such a fun thing, but I want to stay consistent. So, and I have all this lovely fiber stash now. So I would definitely like to do 4 pounds. Sweater spin can count in that, which would be like a whole pound of fiber. So just for that. Those are my knitting goals. So 10K stash negative and buying with intention, 10 patterns that I've already purchased from 2023. They're not necessarily something we've released in 2023, right? Like these are just patterns. Less than 20 test knits and being conscious about using stash for them, sweater spin or garment spin, and 4 pounds of fiber. So fun. These are mostly attainable goals. I mean, it's like things I'm gonna have to stay focused on. Like the 10 patterns is a lot of garments for me to like to not get super distracted with other things, right? Okay. Let's go through my make 12. I'm gonna scooch over here so I can put the whole picture up over here. And you can see all of them. And I'm gonna just name them off real fast. And I don't really want to, I'm not going to, you guys. I'm not going to pop individually pictures. That's just a huge pain in my butt as an editor video for me, future Megan, editor. That's annoying. But I will, maybe I'll keep this up for a little bit longer. I will go through a couple of them. So I think I have yarn for every one of these minus maybe one, and I'll talk through that. So Moonset Tea. I just got yarn for this from Explorinist and Fibers. Stripes is part of my one collection. Another thing that I didn't put this in as a goal, but a thing that I would really love to do is I obviously have old stash yarn I want to use, and there's some patterns I have that are going to be in here, and also just like ones I have on my like general list. But I got excited about buying yarns for specific patterns this year, and so I would like to make them and make those dreams come true for me in 2024. So a lot of these are from purchases this year, so that's just all I have to say. So we have Spain collection Moonset Tea. I have a one collection Stripes, which is from Long Dog Yarn. The Birch Pullover, which is yarn I got, actually you'll see it's right up here. This gray has some like colorful confetti in it, and that is Diamond Lane from Flock, and that's my Birch Pullover by Andrew Mowry. From Joji Locatelli, the Instant Crush, and that's these colors right here from Backloop Yarn Co. My Dorney sweater, which was on there as one of the things I want to make the most. My copycat pattern, which is in the Cloud Base from Paisley Knits. Salty Air Tea. This is actually the only one I have t-shirt quantities I can do, and I have a couple that I was like, ooh, maybe I'll do this one. But what I want to make this one in is the Stratus fingering from Horizon Fibers, which I just have not purchased yet from my sample making from her, but I have. This essentially is yarn that's owed to me because I did a sample, and I have enough to get a t-shirt quantity in that of that linen blend. So it's one, it's not on hand yet, but I'm not ready for this. That's a spring knit. The Wood Anemone, that's on my list. That's the one of the I'm most excited to make. And that I have yarn from Backloop Yarn Co. also. The Tessellated Vest, which we talked about last week, I think. And that's my favorites collection from Treehouse Knits. I'm going to make that one. The Haley Slipover, like, who am I? I'm going to make slipovers. I will tell you guys, I got, during a Christmas sale, I did purchase like 2 shirts to go under, potential under slipovers, because I'm so excited about them. Okay, Haley Slipover from Hyris Knits. This was one of my gifted patterns from December, and I'm really excited to make this. I actually have 2 options. I was thinking, I have that rustic color from Woolberry Fiber Co., but I have enough in this also, in this incognito color from Skeins, which is from New Zealand, and I could make it in that too. I have to just think a little bit on which one I think I'd get more wear out of, and then an alternate for whichever one I don't use. Okay, the Heirloom Quilt Cardigan, which we just talked about and I'm obsessed with. The Stripy Turtle Tank, which is a pattern by Emily Curtis, who is in my knitting group and is the most lovely human. I got yarn for this at the summer market, which I think I talked about then. It's like the Cool Neutrals palette, or it's one of the Neutrals mini palettes, and then linen, the color linen, which is going to be a little bit similar to my Staple Tee, but then I think I know I'll like it, even though I don't love that tan color on me. I don't know why I got that one instead of like a gray, but I'm excited, and it's going to be great under a lot of cardigans that I'm making. And then the Bibliophile, which is another from the favorites collection. So part of what I was like talking about with the knit group was to make some, like, before the repeat of some of these events. So not the pre-orders, because those aren't necessarily going to repeat anyway, but like before Flock, I wanted to use at least one sweater quantity or t-shirt quantity I got at Flock before I go again in August. So that's the Birch Pullover. I need to get that one done, which I think will take me a really long time. Before I go to, like, if the girls go again to summer market for EKF. I've already used one sweater quantity, so that's good, but I got a lot of yarn that weekend, so I would like to use at least one other sweater quantity. Yeah, I mean, and then there's just like maybe before I do some pre-orders, like another pre-order, like, and again, I'm not tying myself. I'm not saying I must before something else. I just by the end of the year have to do this. Just want to be, you know, cognizant of where I am throughout the year. So what goes along with this is I will be doing, I did my stash inventory, like, so I did a yarn inventory in, like through June and July. Before I actually started adding a lot of this hand-dyed yarn to the wall. I am going to make sure everything's in there, and then that will be like on the 31st or whatever will be like whatever I have around, including remnants. I have one pile of remnants that I can't, like, I got as like a lot of sock yarn. That's the only ones that like they don't have color names, they don't have dyers. Everything else is accounted for, including like how many grams are in that skein, like in the lot of skeins. So if I have 5 skeins of whatever, they get weighed together. That's actually how much yarn I have. So when I go to the end of the year, when I'm done projects, I will actually like be weighing them and how much yarn is left over, and I'll know how much I used for projects that year. That's part of what I need to know, but also how much I end the year with is really the most important number. So those two numbers we will flash up on the screen next year just about this time, and we will see how I'm doing. I'm not gonna like be in trouble if I don't do it, but why I said 10,002 is kind of specific because you can't see this, but the yarn I just got, and then a couple of the pre-order yarns from the last couple of weeks don't fit here. I do have some things, like these are acrylic. These are acrylic and wool mix, and they're taking up a lot of space. Do I need them to be in this yarn wall? No, I don't. Will I kick them out of the yarn wall? Possibly. But 10,000 yards of sock weight yarn, if we do like a 400 yard for 100 gram skein, is 25 skeins. That's a lot. I mean, 25 is, let's see, of sock skeins. You can't even see any of the sock yarn shelves. But like, let's call it, you know, it's probably like this big of a square, maybe a little bit more in one of these shelves. So that's like a lot of space. And also because I'm kind of overflowing in here, more of it is just, I have a really beautiful craft room. I have this really beautiful yarn wall, and like, I don't really need my yarn to surpass this yarn wall. That's when I'll get into, you know, a sable kind of situation. I don't know that I really ever am going to be the person who has almost no yarn in their stash. Then, you know, and it's my library. It makes me really happy and joyful to look at. But I'm feeling a little cramped in this room with all my fiber stuff too. And I might, like, I have all my nudie din also, like that needs room in here. And I just want it to feel, I like to feel well organized. And so, I mean, I just have so many amazing projects that I bought yarn for. So that's the other thing is like, not that there aren't going to be things that catch my eye that I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, that pattern too. Cause like I bought the Aurelia pattern from Sorry Northern this year, and I don't have yarn for that. And I really want to make that pattern. You know, if you watch Emily Curtis's podcast, Gently Chaotic Knits, she just finished hers and it's gorgeous. And it was one I've been like thinking of. So when she had her December sale, I bought, that was actually one of the only patterns I bought from her. But like I have yarn here for the Ginny from Andrew Mowry. I have like this may end up being a dad sweater. Like I've got so much fun yarn. And I have so many great projects in mind, and I just want to have them come to life. And I'm sure there will be distractions and we'll see more gorgeous things. And I love test knitting. I really do. I'm not trying to crap on test knitting or say like, I'm never going to do it again. I think I give pretty good insights generally, other than like this duotone, which has been a little bit the bane of my existence, and not because of the pattern. It's just the time of the year and what all of the things that I normally would be done at least a week, or if not more, ahead of the schedule, so I can give really good notes, etc. Rachel has been really generous with her timelines and pushing it back for the holidays anyway for everybody, and there are several people who are not done yet either. I will be done on time. I just won't be done much earlier. But I love to be part of the design process. I like to be an early adopter for some of these patterns. And I love to support designers that I think are really doing really good things. I just, you know, my time is pretty precious. At this point, I have all of these amazing ideas that I need to save some of that time and energy for myself. And so this year, I think I'm going to do that with a little more intention. What else do I have to share? I think that's kind of all for this episode. So thanks for sticking with me while we talk about like a little year in review, things coming up for 2024. And I will be, so hopefully filming next weekend, which will be the last of my 2023 projects, because I will have at least the duotone done by then. And I think maybe then we can talk about some stash figures, like actual how much yarn did I end a year with, and then what my number is, you know, what's the number we're going to try to hit for 2024. And I'm really thinking next week I might have a totally blank wall behind me. Won't that be so weird? Maybe I'll film somewhere else in my house so that it doesn't look so sad. Oh, you know what I could do? Actually, this is what I'm gonna do. Is when I pull all this yarn out, is like maybe actually, I don't know if I want to do that. Anyway, yeah, it'll be pretty weird. So maybe I'll film somewhere else in my house. Or maybe we'll just have to look at nothing for a little bit. I'm so stoked though for a really great 2024. Hopefully we have just more good yarny things happening. Hopefully the world becomes a less terrible place. I don't know. There's always wishes for that. I'm really excited to see my kid grow up a little bit more. I think she'll be walking this year in 2024. I think she'll be, well, she better be walking in 2024. You know, this is like so weird that she might be like saying real sentences by the end of the next year. You know, those kinds of things are really huge progress for little babies. Okay, so those were my yarn goals. I want to know what other people have as their yarn goals. I've heard a couple of you guys have given me some feedback already, but like, what are yours? Do you have any super ambitious ones? I mean, I didn't put this on there, but like one of mine is to get all of my languishing whips done. We already talked about those. So those are like right back on my radar. I don't think I ever gave you guys the update on that. I don't think I did. The update is I am going to finish my Camaro, and I am going to add length to my Pillars of Simplicity. If I still don't love it at the end, I'm going to donate it. No hard feelings. It's totally fine. I haven't ever worn it before, so it's not like I'm going to miss it in my closet, but I'd like to give it the try because it's that or frog the whole thing, and I don't want to do that. I'm going to frog the other two. I already did the trellis, and I'm going to frog the socks. Oh, I think everybody told me to, and you are wise people. I also, from everybody's feedback last week, you guys are so funny. But yes, I do think I'm going to donate everything. I showed you last week. I'm not going to, I had a couple of people tell me like, don't unravel the brioche. You're going to hate life. I thought about it more. I mean, it's a ton of yarn. I don't love that color. So it's not gonna be something for me. And that yarn is like not super, super special. So you're right. I am gonna donate that. I'm gonna donate, I think I am gonna donate just my Cello Chunky as well, the one I wore a couple of weeks ago. But what I will do for the tea, because I don't think that that is useful as a thing, is that for the Cello Chunky tea, I'm going to unravel it. I'm going to unravel it, and I am going to donate that yarn. What else? I'm going to keep my sunbeams, and I will try to over dye it. And then if it doesn't work out and I still don't love it, I will donate it. And I think I am going to just hang on to my Wura tea until the spring, and then I'll know how many spring and summer knits I've got done, and I may feel more ready to release that one into the wild. So you guys are so helpful. Donate, just donate all the things. I'm gonna find, I know a couple of places actually around here that do warm clothes donations for homeless or battered women, and so that is what I will give those to. That's how I feel about it. Let's see, what else? That's my updates. Okay, so tell me about your Yarny goals for 2024. Are there any things that you're trying to finish up by the end of the year in these last couple of days? And please tell me who has a really good New Year's Eve cast on, or did you cast on something amazing for Christmas Eve? I know people do both. I am going to do a New Year's Eve cast on, which really will likely be a New Year's Day cast on, because I'm going to be so close to those socks getting done. Nothing is going to stop me. Yeah, and so I want to know. I want to know all of the things. And we're going to start 2024 off with a bang. A flat lay, a year in review, which is going to be so weird for me to do a big long episode like that. And so many amazing cast-ons coming very soon. I have 5 projects on my needles right now, and I can tell you it's going to be so many more than that very quickly. But what I'm going to try to do, and I thought about this, I didn't think about the order yet, is I'm going to try to do less than 2 cast-ons at a time and let it be for like at least a whole week, depending on how fast they're growing. Because what tends to happen is I will just be like, let me cast on 4 things at once, and then it takes me like extra long to get them all done, and then I get all 4 of them done at once, and that's annoying to me. I want them to be done I want constant new things. I don't want a flood of new things. And so I think that's my plan. We'll see if I stick to it. Have a super wonderful day. Have a great end of 2023. And I can't wait to talk to you all next week. I don't know when I'm going to put out my Everything I Made episode. I sort of think I might get it done this weekend and put it out midweek, and then do my regular podcast episode for the end of the year. Otherwise I feel like it's gonna just be push off. So we shall see. But I hope that y'all have a really great night, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.